He walked past dozens of people that day. But when he saw her polishing shoes on the sidewalk, his entire past came rushing back. And what he did next stopped the city in its tracks. The streets of Chicago were buzzing as usual, honking taxis, overpriced coffee in every hand, and suits rushing to meetings like time was money. Jackson Reed, 41, billionaire investor and tech mogul, stepped out of his black SUV in front of the prestigious Avalon Tower, ready for a keynote speech that morning. He adjusted his Rolex, straightened his tailored jacket, and as he glanced down to avoid a puddle, he saw her. Kneeling on the cold concrete sidewalk, face shaded by a worn-out cap, was a woman gently polishing the shoes of a stranger. Her hands moved with care, her eyes tired. He was about to walk past like everyone else, but then something made him stop. Her voice, software, familiar, like a chord he hadn't heard in years. "Excuse me, sir. Would you like a quick shine?" He turned. She looked up. And in that moment, the world around him froze. It was Anna Grace, his college sweetheart, the girl who tutored him through economics, who used to doodle stars on her notebooks, who once said, "I'd rather live simple and be happy than rich and feel lost." They had dreamed together once, but somewhere along the way, he had chased ambition. And she had vanished. Now she was kneeling on a street corner, polishing strangers' shoes for tips, and Jackson could barely speak. "Anna, is it really you?" She froze, looked up again, and when she recognized him, she smiled, but not out of joy, out of dignity. "It's been a long time, Jackson." Jackson stood there, stunned. The once vibrant girl he remembered, who wore sunflowers in her hair and corrected his grammar mid-text, was now polishing shoes outside one of the buildings he owned stock in. I had no idea," he murmured. Anna rose slowly, wiping her hands on a cloth with grace that didn't belong to the sidewalk. "You weren't supposed to," she said with a faint smile. "We lost touch a long time ago." He couldn't stop staring. "Anna, what happened?" She hesitated, then nodded toward a nearby bench. "Do you have 10 minutes? I could use a break." They sat in the middle of the sidewalk chaos, and Anna spoke, softly, steadily, with no trace of self-pity. "After college, I got married. Thought it was love. He lost his job, then started drinking. It got bad. I walked away, finally, but I left with nothing but my name and a backpack. I worked at a bookstore, then at a diner. Then my mom got sick. I became her full-time caregiver for 3 years. When she passed, I didn't have anyone else, but I couldn't sit still. So I started polishing shoes." She chuckled. "You'd be surprised how honest people get when you're at their feet." Jackson's throat tightened. He had attended galas, flown private, sat at tables worth billions. And yet this woman, this moment, humbled him more than any boardroom ever had. "Why didn't you reach out?" Anna looked at him with those same steady, honest eyes. "You were building a life in the clouds. I didn't want to drag you back to the ground." He shook his head, heart heavy. "You were never the weight, Anna. You were the reason I made it through college." She smiled. "I'm just trying to survive now." But Jackson wasn't going to walk away this time. Not from her. Not again. Jackson stood from the bench and looked down at Anna, not with pity, but with purpose. "I'm canceling my meeting," he said. Anna blinked. "What? Why?" He took out his phone, hit a few buttons, and calmly told his assistant, "Clear my morning." Something more important just came up. Then he walked back to Anna's small wooden shoe-shine box, picked it up gently, and held it like it was made of gold. "You don't belong here. Not like this. Not anymore." Anna laughed softly, unsure if he was joking. "It's just a job, Jackson. I'm not ashamed of it." "I know. he replied. But you didn't just shine shoes today. You shined me. You reminded me who I was before money made me forget what matters. Then, right there on the corner of Fulton and Main, he did something no one expected. He knelt down. He polished her shoes. Crowds stopped. Phones came out. Videos rolled. A billionaire on his knees, wiping dirt from the shoes of a woman most people passed without a second glance. And he didn't care who was watching. You once lifted me when I was nobody, he said. Let me do that for you now. Later that day, Jackson brought Anna to a quiet office building on the north side. No cameras, no speeches. Inside was a fully renovated space, light-filled, warm, inviting, with a sign on the door. Anna Grace Foot Care and Wellness, coming soon. He handed her the keys. It's yours, he said. Not a gift, a repayment. She was speechless. You don't owe me anything, Jackson. But he smiled and looked her straight in the eyes. Maybe not for the shoes, but for the way you made me feel seen when no one else did, I'll spend the rest of my life repaying that. 1 month later, the sign above the door of Anna Grace Foot Care and Wellness shimmered in the early morning sun. The little space, once an empty storefront, had become a haven. Soft chairs, gentle lighting, donated massage tables, shelves filled with hand creams, oils, and a vintage shoe shine station at the front. The same box Anna once used on the sidewalk, now restored and placed like a piece of art. And standing beside it every morning was Anna. But she wasn't kneeling anymore. She was standing tall, in her own place, on her own terms. Word of her story had gone viral. Billionaire polishes shoes of former college girlfriend, opens business in her name. Shine Back, a movement of dignity and second chances. Customers came from all over, not just for services, but for the feeling they left with. They said it felt like more than care. It felt like healing. And every time someone asked her how it all happened, Anna just smiled and said, because someone stopped, looked past the dirt, and remembered who I used to be. At the grand opening, Jackson stood off to the side, unnoticed at first. No suit, no speeches, just a quiet smile. Anna spotted him and walked over. You ready for your appointment? She teased. He chuckled. Only if I get the full shine. She sat him down, just like old times. But instead of pulling out a cloth, she handed him a framed photo. It was a picture of the two of them from college, Jackson holding a failed econ exam, Anna laughing beside him. At the bottom, in her handwriting, sometimes the past isn't where we were left behind, it's where we were waiting to be found. He looked up, eyes misty. Anna, thank you for letting me be part of your story. She smiled. You were always in it. You just forgot how it started. Because sometimes, a broken path can lead to something better than what was lost. And the richest thing you can give someone is a chance to shine again.